So, ladies and gentlemen, you recently heard me say this. Matter of fact, let's just make that a complete other video. If you all want to know the difference between smart and intelligent, let me know in the comments. We'll just create another video for that, alright? So here is that video. It's going to be a really quick breakdown on what does it mean to be intelligent, what's the difference between intelligence and smart, and versus highly intelligent, regular intelligence, smart, and even the term that people like to throw around of educated. What do all of these smart terms mean? And I know you might think you know what it means, but you don't really know.
I don't think it means what you think it means.
But I get it, I know. I already talked about it before. It's kind of confusing, but it's okay. You did the right thing. You came to class, balance of power. I got you covered with today's lesson. What does it mean to be intelligent? Let's get it in. So as we've talked about already, there is a difference between all of these words that mean that you know things and that you can do stuff with your brain. I'm trying to give a definition without actually giving the word because that sucks. So let me just break down for you what you think it means right now and how it doesn't mean that. So right now, when people say intelligent, they are technically talking about smart. And when you heard me in the previous video talk about highly intelligent, it's because I'm differentiating between what people are actually saying as far as smart, and other highly intelligent men will probably do the same thing and separate themselves from what the general public calls intelligence, because we know that that's not really what you mean. What do I mean? What I mean is that people will use these words interchangeably. Women will say things like, oh, I want me an intelligent man. I need him to be smart. I need him to be educated. All of these are different things. So just to put it in order before we break down the actual definition, highly intelligent is at the top. Intelligent is underneath that. Smart is underneath that. Educated is at the bottom. I'm sorry, what? Education don't mean nothing? Why'd I go to school? Yes, educated is at the bottom. Now, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't go to school or that you shouldn't learn things, but what it does mean is that the definition of educated is not that great. Let me break it down further. Educated just means you have gone to some kind of school. You've gone to college, whether that's community college, straight up university, you've gone to a trade school, or you've read things, you've been someplace where things have happened in your presence. It doesn't really mean you actually learned anything. Like nothing? Sometimes. Ask anybody who has a college degree, was it about actually learning or was it finishing the mission? If you're educated, that just means you've gotten some kind of piece of paper, some kind of certification, something that proves that you were in the vicinity of knowledge. That's it. When you're going to school, when you're going to university, basically it just means that you went to class and you learned just enough to take the information from here and put it over here. You did not necessarily have to put it in your head. You oftentimes would hold information just long enough so you throw it over to where it needs to go. You're giving the information that you got from the teacher and giving it back to the teacher. You don't actually hold it in your head, sometimes because of a lack of desire, sometimes it's because of a lack of ability, sometimes it's just a lack of time, and you need space to be able to hold the information that you really want. So if you're here in the West, when you're going for a college degree, we have a whole section of stuff that is called general education. And basically, it's 2 years worth of class that has nothing to do with your major of study. It could be you have to learn about, I don't know, some of you are going to hate me for saying this, but like gender studies or I don't know, environmental studies. If you don't care about the environment, you're like, what does that have to do with me being a lawyer? You can spend so much time and money on classes that don't mean anything. So you are required to be there because they think it's going to make you a well-rounded student, but really you're just learning just enough to regurgitate the information you get from the teacher back to the teacher. It's like juggling. You've got the information and you're taking it from one side over to the other. You don't hold on to the information long enough for it to stay with you. You don't really care. It has nothing to do with what you really want. You just want to get the information from here to here so you get your piece of paper and get out. So you can be called educated all you want. But did you really learn anything? Did you hold on to this? Now, it doesn't mean you never hold on to anything. It doesn't mean you never learn anything. But it just means that's not your motivation. That's not the mission. The mission is to get that piece of paper. The mission is to get the certification or what have you. You will oftentimes learn what you really need to learn when you do the job. These certifications, these ways of being educated are very often tied to some other mission, like getting a job. So unless you're learning for learning's sake, you're becoming educated because you're doing what I talked about in this video, the James Bond training, where you're wanting to enrich yourself, you're not really learning much of anything. You're not retaining anything. Like the juggling, I'm talking about intelligence and I can't even speak. Just like the juggling, you're not holding on to it. You don't grab it and put it down and keep it with you. You give it where it needs to go just so you can get out. Next one up from that is smart. What does it mean to be smart? Smart, really, is just you have gained a bunch of information. So it's like the juggling thing from earlier, except instead of throwing it from one place to another, you throw it up and you catch it. You throw it up, you catch it, you put it down, and you keep it in a pile. You've just accumulated a bunch of information. That's pretty much it. Smarts is just you gathering things. You went to this class and you got this information. You went to this class, you got this information. You read this book, you watched this documentary. You have gathered information like a repository. You are like a library. But again, it doesn't mean you're actually intelligent. There's a difference. What's the difference? I'll give you an example. Have you ever met one of those people who they got great grades in school, but they don't seem to have any kind of knowledge about how the world works? I remember being in high school and we all were working at, and when I say all, like a lot of the kids who wanted some kind of a job, we worked at McDonald's. Shout out to McDonald's. I'm not sponsored by them, but weirdly, it was one of the funnest jobs I've ever had. Didn't want that job in the beginning, but it turned out to be dope as hell. Lots of lessons I learned there. Anyway, this is one of them. We had a girl who worked there who was one of the smartest girls in school. Her and all of her sisters, all of them looked good. All of them got great grades. But homie, they had no, what word should I use? Common sense. Like none. One day at McDonald's, I'm in the back cooking meat and someone else is making burgers. She's in the front. Just one of the sisters is in the front at the cash register. She's ringing people up. Someone asks her a question about how much something costs and is it big enough. Then she asks us in the back this question. She goes, "Hey guys, how big is a quarter pounder?" I'm sorry, what? All of us were like, wait, what do you mean how big is a quarter pounder? The manager walks up and he's like, "What's the problem?" And we were like, we think she's messing with us. She just asked how big a quarter pounder is. She's like, "Yeah, how big is a quarter pounder?" And the manager goes, "It's a quarter of a pound." She goes, "Yes, I know it's a quarter pound, but how big is that?" Then I'm thinking, well, maybe she means size. Well, like, you want to know how big it is? Like, here's one right here. We held up a sandwich to her face. She's like, "No, like how big is it?" We did not understand She couldn't get the concept. We had to break down the math of how many ounces are in a pound, and it's 25% of that. This girl got an A in advanced calculus, yet she could not answer the question of how big is a quarter pounder. What the? Anyway, so yes, she was smart, but homie, she was not intelligent. Intelligence, what does it really mean? So, intelligence is not just being educated. It's not just being in the presence of people who know things and information was thrown out around you. It's not just being smart where you've retained the information and you've got a repository of a bunch of information. You know things, but you don't know what to do with it. Intelligence is taking all of that information, synthesizing it, and turning it into actual actions or knowledge or ideas or things that you can do something with. It's the action form of being smart. So a good example of the difference between smarts and intelligence is, think of a kitchen where smart is you've got a kitchen full of food. All the food is all the information you've gathered. You've got a cabinet full of food. You've got a refrigerator full of food. You've got a deep freezer full of food. You've got all these spices. You've got all the ingredients for everything. All the greatest, the finest cheeses, the finest wine, the finest this, you could have the finest education and gained a lot of smarts in the way of gathering all of these ingredients. And that's it. You've just got a kitchen full of stuff. Intelligence is not just having the kitchen full of ingredients, is being able to take those ingredients, put them together, and actually make something. It's you actually cooking now. And again, there's levels of intelligence. You can think, let me open up this refrigerator, let me open up this cabinet. Okay, I've got bread, I've got tomatoes, I've got lettuce, I've got ham. I'm gonna make a sandwich. That's a lower form of intelligence. But to be highly intelligent, for it to cross over into the upper echelons, is you think of things in a more, how should I put it? Creative way. You are creative with the use of your intelligence. You aren't looking at it on the surface of what the simplest, most basic thing of, let's make a ham sandwich. Like, that's nothing. Intelligence would be like, okay, I've got all of those ingredients, but check it out. I also have eggs. I also have these spices. Instead of making a ham sandwich, let me make a Monte Cristo, where you take all of that stuff and you turn it into one of these. If you had not had a Monte Cristo in your life, get your life together. Oh my goodness. My point is that intelligence, true intelligence, is you not just having knowledge, not just being educated with your piece of paper, but you can do something with it. It means nothing to have all those ingredients and to not be able to do anything with it. What's the point of having the greatest kitchen in the world if you can't make something with it? You're still gonna starve. So why I was making the distinction between highly intelligent and just regular intelligence is because when people say intelligent, they're commingling it with educated and smart, so that the word itself of intelligence doesn't mean what it truly means.
You keep using the word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
So those of us who are truly intelligent and know what it is supposed to mean, we don't want to be associated with somebody who's just educated. We don't want to be associated with cats who are just smart. Nah. And especially depending on how intelligent you are, you could be the base level of intelligence of, yeah, you can make a sandwich, or you could be the cat making the Monte Cristo. Either way, those of us at the top mentally, one, it's an area in which you will see dudes and women, y'all, you are not exempt from this. Women get the lowest level, educated, and your heads blow up so big you can't get through doors. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, or at least I'm not trying to be, but at the same time, I need to be honest. Sometimes, ladies, you guys get a piece of paper and you act like you're the best thing since sliced bread, and that's all you need. No, it doesn't mean that you're better than everybody else simply because you have a piece of paper. As we just discussed, it's not all that. But yeah, as I discussed in the other video, there is sometimes a level of arrogance that comes with being highly intelligent as a man. And again, as a woman. But the point is, you need to be truly intelligent enough to understand that you're not better than other people simply because you might be smarter. Other people are better than you in other ways. Intelligence is just one category of what it means to be human. Even if you do think that you're better than other humans. I know you're thinking that. I'm just saying. So whether you consider yourself educated, smart, intelligent, or highly intelligent, either way, just count yourself lucky that you were smart enough to watch this whole video. Now that's the end of today's lesson. Now if you found value in this video, and I know you did, click the subscribe button. We are still on our road to 10K. We want to make sure the algorithm gets out to you, all your people, all your friends. Everybody needs to know these lessons. And speaking of the video getting out, go ahead and slide this video to somebody who needs to hear this. Now, I know you like these lessons. Where else you gonna hear gold bars of knowledge just dropped on you? I know you coming back, because where you gonna go?
Where you going? Nowhere.
So come on back and click on another video. But until next time, deuce deuce.